Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. And I mean, it's going to be an interesting stream and there is going to be a lot of tinkering happening. And okay, and first of all, I need also to turn off the heater here that I forgot. Okay, so welcome everyone, welcome JB Cook, Bob Almighty, Anthony, Galvas, Al McNeil, Helen, Kimber, and the Voice of Silencio, Tim, and Elisabetta and Randall. So basically, the idea for today is to take an inner look about the work that I do, behind the scenes, and of course also unpack the amplifier that arrived just yesterday, and set the amplifier up and try to understand how it sounds, try to understand also microphone placement and the settings for the new amplifier, and also, the idea is to have a sort of I don't know exactly how to put it, retrospective on the evolution of the sound on the channel. And we started at the beginning with a very cheap audio interface and directly plugged in. And I'm not going to go through the very first setup because I'm afraid it will crash the machine, my PC. But this one was the second setup. But at the time we didn't have two microphones, but we had only the SM57, that is an industry standard microphone, and this amplifier. So now I've sort of dialed in already a sound, and it sounds more or less like this. Now, what are the characteristics of this amplifier? This amplifier is a JC-40, and it's built like a tank, so it's great for gigging because it has a great volume and it's very sturdy and reliable, but at the same time it's very neutral or very hi-fi, so to speak. And it has two speakers, and it's called Jets Chorus. Why? Because there is the chorus effect. And how does the chorus effect works in a JC-40? That is a reduction of the original amplifier, the JC-120, that is bigger. Basically, one of the cones gets affected with this chorus effect, and the other one stays the same, stays natural without effect, and so you get, and the sound mixes all together, okay, and you get this magic happening, and it's a sound that was very famous. Anyway, let's not get carried away. And welcome, Kyle7 Billy. Welcome also to Mavka. I mean, I like this amplifier because it's reliable and I like it for this effect, but at the same time, it is very cold. And but I would suggest to buy this one if you have a single, how do you say, if you have either a Telecaster or a Fender Stratocaster of some sort. Because, you know, with those type of guitars, with solid body guitars, the clean sounds beautiful, even more beautiful, because the problem is that the guitar that I have has the tendency to sound quite too big on the lower end of the spectrum and on the middle end of the spectrum. So it's not really, you know, the best combination possible that you can have. And ideally, if you can get your hands over a Yamaha VR4000, I would suggest you to buy that instead of this one. This one, it's a little bit smaller and it's easier to bring around if you need to play, you know, in a gig, in a bar or whatever. But the VR4000, that it's from the early 90s, it is better sounding, and it has also a parametric equalizer built in, and the chorus is real. Instead, this JC-40 has a chorus that it's digital. Okay, so it's not as good, but you trade a little bit of, you know, digital stuff and the smaller speakers for, how do you say that, for portability, basically. And now we are going also to experiment. If you really wanted to go on about this, to create a little bit more ambience, what you could do, that maybe we could try, if you know, if everything does not explode, we could try to take both microphones, you know, and put them to one speaker and the other, and pan them so you can hear a little bit better. Hello, Kai. Welcome, and welcome, Elise. It is a good transistor amp. Yes, it is a good transistor amp. A little bit too neutral for what I do, but I do like very much the reverb, the spring, how do you say? Yes, the spring reverb that it's in here. And so I have also, I got organized this time around with also, with also this. What is this? This basically, it's part of the software that I do utilize to dial in the sound. And as you can see, here we have the 3 microphones, and I have also the possibility to exclude my voice, so in the future when we are going to plug in also the other amplifiers, we can experiment with only the microphones that we are utilizing to mic the actual amp. So let's try it. As you can hear, maybe it's pretty subtle because the volume is quite down, but one of the defects of jazz chorus amplifiers is that they have a hiss. It's quite subtle, but now let me move also the other microphone and you will realize. Okay, okay. Now we have more or less positioned them to the two things. Let's try to the two speakers. Let's try to pan them real quick and let's see what is the effect. So that one, it's this one, right? Yes, all the way to the right. And the other one all the way to the left. And then also we should try to touch a little bit the SM58 because I didn't put any type of EQ or compression over the 6th channel. Let me see if I'm still sharing the Q mix. Yes, I'm still sharing the Q mix. So let's go and do it. So we are adding a filter, a low pass filter. Is it this one? Yes, it should be this one, but with this profile. Yes, if I remember, yes. Why are we doing this? This one is, you know, pretty basic procedure, but it cuts the lower end. And it's especially useful if you have a subwoofer or stuff like that, so you don't get into the really muddy part of the equation. Now, why am I utilizing the effects, only the effects that are built within the QMix interface that you see on the screen? I'm utilizing them because they are DSP effects, and the DSP effects have the advantage of not being software emulation. They are built in into the audio interface. So ideally, you know, it allows me to avoid even more latency than what we already have. Here we have the compression, and you know, given the fact that we don't know much, we are going to simply mirror what I already did over here. So it is like that, more or less. Now, here there are two types of compression. This one is an emulation of an old compressor that was utilized in Beatles albums, etc. But I found from my experience that it doesn't sound that great and you don't have that much of a control. Instead, this one, it works. So, okay, let's try to... Obviously, you cannot copy-paste over here. So we go to the other channel. Yes, and then I'm quite slow at doing those things because I don't do them often, but okay, what does a compressor do? Basically, what the compressor does, it allows you to make what your sound, your lowest in the dynamic range sound a little bit higher, and your highest in the dynamic range sound a little bit lower. So it is a way to get a more stable sound, so to speak. Okay, now we need also to adjust the volumes. Yes. So it looks like this. No, I clicked the wrong one. It's the trim, yes. Similar enough. Now let's see how it works with... Yes, hello Shamsu, welcome. Welcome, and hello Silver Pocky, yes, I'm very happy and excited as well, and we are going to get there. And hello Davide Fantinato, this one is a gear stream, so to speak, and we are trying now to see how this works, and I will exclude now my talking microphone, that is this one, that will be channel 1. And we are going to hear this, only the sound of the amplifier and the microphones. Because, you know, if I play it this way, it's going to sound better. because obviously this microphone captures a little bit of the acoustic sound. But we want really to dive in and try to understand how this thing sounds. It sounds very separated, too much separated. Let's try something less extreme. So we put 50% panning on both of them. Let's try once again. You can hear that there is quite some noise, and this noise it's quite almost impossible to completely get rid of. The only way that I've heard possible about getting rid of the hiss that you get out of JC-40 or 120 or whatever. It's the whole family that has this. I don't call it a problem, because it's not a problem when you are playing in a live setting. It's not a problem when you are playing in a live setting, and even this one that I think it has 40 watts, it is more than enough to cover also a loud drummer. And but if you are recording, it can get really into your head, especially because the problem is that in the guitar world, thank you so much, Al McNeil. It's a very generous donation, really. And also, a very short announcement. This stream is going to be incredibly long. It is possible that we are going to sit here for 4 hours, because we are going to go through every amplifier. I'm going to also try to tinker with the EQ that you can see. No, it's here. And I'm going to tinker also with the compression, and also a couple of things that it's general physics, but even though I don't believe that much in being too overly analytical about all the various phenomena, because okay, one thing at a time. It's always a very good idea. It's always a very good idea to put the amp up, okay, in one way or another. Never put it down directly on the floor, because if you put it directly on the floor, all the frequencies, they are going to stay there on the floor. Hello, John Mains, welcome. Yes, step by step, with a lot of tinkering. And what I was saying, yes, it is always a good idea to put the amplifier at an angle. Many people, even put it against the angle of a wall, or in one way or another. Why is it so? Because if you put it parallel to a wall, the sound it's going to bounce, and the waves, they are going to cancel each other. So it is always very important to put it at an angle. And in an ideal world, you should try also to push it a little bit, so that the speakers, they say, and as you can, we are already getting into the sort of black magic territory, but the speakers start to breathe. Okay, the speakers start to breathe. And there are also the problem with, in general, and that is also why I think that beginners should start with an acoustic guitar, that if you really want to play electric guitar, as you can see here, it's a system of systems, because there is the guitar, there is the amplifier, the placement of the amplifier settings. For example, given the fact that I utilize the heaviest strings on the market, I have the tendency to keep everything flat, but to cut out a little bit of the bass to avoid boominess, especially when I'm comping, And Then there is also the blanket. Why the blanket? Because the blanket makes a difference, because if the sound goes also, travels also in the other direction, it changes the sound. And the thing is, you can get very mathematical, very, physicist, like a physicist analyzing these things, but at the same time, I do believe in the power of tinkering. The more you tinker, the better it is. And that is also one of the reasons why every time I get a new piece of equipment, it doesn't matter what it is, the sound for at least a couple of days has the tendency to be slightly worse, because every piece of equipment has a learning curve. And on top of the learning curve, you need to sort of get a feel for it. It's not really science. Yes, Bob. Ciao, Leonardo Caboni. I'm excited too. It is behind me. I hope you can see it. But we don't do often this type of streams. But one thing at a time. I want to say thank you once again to Al McNeil and to Maria for the very generous donations. It is much appreciated. Thank you. Ugo Fights, good evening. And Bob, not really. I mean, also here it's quite cold, so don't take my word for it. Hello, Fate Line, welcome. Today it's the gear stream, gear review and test stream. And what else? Nothing really. I do like very much the reverb over this Roland amp, because it is not too much of a long tail. I hope you can hear me clear. Let's hear it without the chorus. So, yes, I would say that we have a little bit too much bass, but it depends also on the angle and the positioning of the microphones. Actually, I preferred the previous positioning when we had the 57 over one corner and the 58 at a higher volume, slightly back, because the whole idea, especially with the amplifier that we are going to have to unbox today, the idea is to have two microphones so that you can capture, this luscious quality. Because I mean, here in the room, I can hear it, that the sound is blooming in the room. The problem is that I need to translate it somewhat also to you. Obviously, the 58, it's not the ideal microphone to do a job like that, but it is the microphone that I have, In fact, the idea in the future is to upgrade to a Royer 121, that it's a tape microphone and it's an industry standard, so that we can really capture the beauty of the amplifier that just arrived yesterday. It is in general an issue, because when you are building a signal chain like this one, the weakest element is the element that it's going to be the thing that screws up everything, so to speak. And yeah, of course, John Mays. Actually, I was hoping that you would be one of ours for this gear review, because actually, for those of you who don't know John is a professional. So I mean, I'm happy that you are here, John, so that you can also assist me. And as we tinker also, hello, Donald, welcome. Assist me as we tinker also with the compression and with the EQ settings, because as you can see here, maybe you cannot see it that closely, wait, but like for example, on the microphone that I'm utilizing to talk, I have a quite precise equalization. Maybe there is a way I can show it to you a little bit exaggerated so you can understand what is going on. And ideally, you know, this type of precision in cutting the unwanted frequencies in your voice, we should do the same job also with the amplifier. And the problem is that the voice of the amplifier, so to speak, it is going to be created not by one microphone, but by two microphones. And we need also to keep into account that right now, our idea, I mean, actually, my sound, it is a mixture between having an amplified sound and an acoustic sound. Let me explain what I mean, because the problem is that getting you know, the higher end of the spectrum, of the sonic spectrum on this specific guitar with these specific strings, I do feel it sounds better when you don't have any type of amplifier or, you know, or stuff like that. Let me show you. Let me demonstrate it real quick. I'm going to exclude the other microphones. Okay. Okay. This one, it's only this microphone. And I like it very much, actually. And for certain situations, like for example, if I would need to record some swing comping in the Freddie Green style, I would utilize most probably only this one, but most probably angled, like. You get what I mean. But actually, the system that we are running, it's a hybrid. What exactly do you mean, John Mays? You mean me, myself, or the amplifier, or these microphones? Because these microphones, in the end, will be fate line, feedback, like all the bad things. You know, if you are trying to fight feedback, the best way to fight feedback is to fight feedback in the real world, not to fight feedback with a plugin. In general, you know, like for example, I'm not utilizing any type of VST. Yes, of course, John Mays. Actually, normally I do the same. Normally this amplifier or any other amplifier is in another room so that I don't get any type of bleed. But for today, given the fact that we want also to tinker with things, I've decided to put it here so that you can see it. And on top of that, at least for me personally, when I get a new amplifier, also given the fact that I'm alone, so when I get a new amplifier, I try to test it in a room with me to try to understand really the response, to really try to test the response of every knob. Because also the problem is that many knobs, they don't move like in a logical way. I don't know how to explain explain it, but the frequencies that they amplify or they cut, they are exponential, or they have a certain ratio that makes the stuff sound musical. So you need really to pay attention. And also we call them in Italian potentiometry, these knobs, they also have the same behavior. Like, for example, one very old trick in the book for doing a Freddie Green style comping with a guitar is to put your volume over 2 or 3 over here, and then raise the volume of the amplifier, because the frequencies that are amplified by the pickups and the guitar at the 2 or 3 are different compared to the frequencies that are amplified at 10. It's not only a volume control, it's also a tone control in a hidden way. The problem is that on top of this, we are always fighting a sort of loudness war. Why a loudness war? Because our brain registers as better everything that it's loud, or louder compared to the previous sound that we have heard. So, in order to have an objective comparison of sounds, you should have a loudness meter of some kind, so to be sure that everything is more or less in the same loudness universe, so that you are not tricking yourself, by only considering loudness. Hello, Mr. Spock. This one is the nerd stream, and yes, it is often done on the edge. John Maines is right with saying the edge of the speaker is done for emphasize more low end frequencies, and it is true. The more you move it towards the edge of the speaker, the more it sounds. It emphasizes, as he was saying, the lower frequencies. And normally, also, another trick that it is utilized is to angle the speaker, because not the speaker, to angle the microphone, because if you angle it, it has this tendency to softness the harsher frequencies. And so there is also that to take in account. And the problem is that right now, like for example, when I was miking the Brunetti that is behind this amplifier, when I was miking the Brunetti, I had only this one as a microphone for the amplifier, and the more you put it close to the actual speaker, the less room it's going to capture, and the bitier it is. And I was keeping it quite far away, so that the microphone was able to capture a little bit of the room, a little bit of the air. But the problem is that for his own very nature, this microphone, the 57, it is thought to capture exactly that bite. So, I suspect that when we are going to unbox the Fender Concert and utilize the Fender Concert, we are going most probably to put it closer compared to how I was putting it on the Brunetti, because we are going to have also the 58 to capture a little bit of the ambience. And so there is that. Now, let's see what happens if we... Okay, but first of all, let's pump back the volume. And we are not going to be able to play at crazy volumes tonight, because you see that there are lots of microphones over here, and if I raise the volume too high, we're going to get massive feedback. But I wanted to show you also the knobs over here. And not bad. No, Bob. The punch, it's most normally the punch it is in the mid frequencies range. Because the guitar naturally sits into the mid frequencies. You can also see it most probably pretty clearly if why you are not allowing me a preview of the thing? You sorry. No, he doesn't like it anymore. I'm always fighting with gear, you know, it's an uphill fight. It works, but I would like to see a preview of it. But it doesn't show it. It is not that important, but maybe it's because of the panning that I did. Now you can hear in the background, it is quite subtle, but you can hear the ease that I was talking about. Let's try to listen for it. Ease, noise, because I've excluded these two microphones. Anyway, now moving on. Moving on, now let's try. Let's try to, without the blanket. At least here, because obviously these ones are open-ended, half semi-open headphones. At least here, I hear that you know the amplifier sounds somewhat bigger, less focused, less concentrated, so to speak. I don't know if you can hear the difference. I can most definitely hear. Now, let's change the amplifier and let's see if we can hear a difference. So let me, also a word of advice, when you are utilizing, it doesn't matter which type of amplifier, but normally what I like to do, you know, I like to have the volume, the master and the gain at 0, and then I turn it off. Also when I'm turning the amplifier on, the volume or the master control is at 0, I turn the amplifier on, I turn the standby on, if it has a standby button, and then I raise the volume. And it is an important procedure in order to keep the amplifier healthy. Now, moving on. Moving on, now we change amplifier. It's going to be a lot of work for me today. Also, maybe as I switch the amplifier, we don't need to watch this thing. Okay. Let's try not to trip over anything. Now, this one is the Brunetti. try to place also the 57 and the 58 in a more reasonable way. And one good trick that you can do, you can utilize your phone. If you cannot see if it works, you cannot see where the cone is, like for example here I cannot really see it, to understand how to put it, because sometimes it's difficult to see, like for example in this case. So what we are going to do is the following. Normally I go for something like this, somewhere there. Then we take this one instead and we push it back. Maybe like this. Keep in mind that if you have also too much space between the two microphones, you are risking phase issues. So you should try to invert the phase. But that is another topic. Okay. Now the volume. And the cable. Also, one thing that that I did over here with this amplifier is I tried to recreate the frequency response of a twin reverb, because the frequency response of a twin reverb is called the mid-scooped, in the sense that the mids, they are not as pervasive as other amplifiers. So basically you cannot see it here, but I have the bright turned off, I have the volume at 3 or 4, over the smooth thing, bass at 12 o'clock, middle at 0, and the treble very high, and a healthy amount of reverb. And obviously this one, it has also a switch for the power, and now we are going to turn it on full power, hoping that we don't get feedback, because it's very possible. Okay. Are we getting feedback? No. Okay, you are on. Now, let's hide, and this one is the Brunetti, so the substitute of the jazz chorus. Welcome, Claire. And thank you, Robert. And hello, Sir Loves a lot. Welcome to the stream. And so we are here, and let's bring up once again our trusty Q mix, so we can see if we need some tinkering to do. And obviously this whole process, I will need to redo it when I will put the amplifier in the new room. And so now let's try to see here the difference. Also, let's override the panning that we did previously for the two-cone speakers amplifier. And this is basically the stuff that I do, you know, to allow the stream to have a good sound. At least that's how I operate, basically. And okay, so this one, keep in mind, it's already dialed in. Yes, Al, most 90% of them, and just on the cheaper side. as you can hear, this one, at least, you know, I can hear it immediately, is still very clean, but it has a warmer characteristic. No, it's better. And but there is a but. I suspect that is for the nature of the speaker, because we have here only one speaker, we don't have two. For the nature of the speaker, for the very nature of the speaker, this amplifier has a sort of more mids, you know, more medium frequencies, you know, the stuff that, I don't know if you can see the cursor, the stuff that it's here, you know, it has more mid frequencies, but they are a type of mid frequencies that are very famous for, you know, that are favored by the rock and roll musicians or rock musicians. Because Brunetti himself, you know, the person who designed and built this amplifier, he has an history of working with Italian rock stars, like, for example, Vasco Rossi and his guitar player. And it's not the haircut, Jane. It is not the haircut. And there is also a difference in the sense that the spring reverb that it's featured in this amplifier, it has a way longer tail. You hear that it's longer, no? I like it, but I must admit that, you know, if we are talking about reverb, I prefer the reverb on the Roland, even if it is less luscious. And nothing really. Now, this one, you know, I just turn it on and with already the settings that I normally utilize. But I want to show you, you know, how much of a difference also dialing, you know, in a setting can change on the tonal characteristics of an amplifier. Because, you know, here I was recreating the scooped mids that are famous for, how do you say that? For the twin reverb, etc. And now I will try to do it flat. I will put it completely flat. Now, let's try not to trip. So, this one is completely flat. And as you can hear, it's worse. Yes, it is better. It is better, Bob Almighty. It is substantially better, of course, because this one, it's an amplifier that colors the sound and it matches way better the guitar that I have. But at the same time, even if it is an amplifier that colors the sound, it doesn't have the same breathing room in breathing. You know, it doesn't have the same breathing of the Roland, and it has this very mid punch, mid attack that it's, I think it's best, it is the best sound that you can get for, you know, for rock and roll or blues playing, or if you are playing with jazz guitar, you know, I think this one could work great if you are utilizing some type of hybrid picking, you know, between the pick and the fingers, you know, like for example, but for someone like me that plays, you know, like I just escaped, you know, from jail, this one has the tendency to a little bit emphasize too much, you know, the aggressiveness that I have already into my own playing. So I would suggest, for myself at least, that's my idea, I would suggest, welcome to Koaz Butterfly. Thank you. We are doing the nerd stream. I would suggest for myself something a little bit smoother, so to speak, so that I can have really the ability to push. Because this one, it's a great amplifier. I don't regret buying it. And, you know, and if you're in the States and you happen to find one, and give it a try, see if you like it. It has also plenty of volume, and it is not exceedingly heavy. And actually, you know, I was thinking before buying the Fender Concert that an idea could be to change the speaker of this amplifier to make the tone a little bit softer. So I was thinking about substituting the Celestion with a Jensen of some kind in order to get that real smooth jazz sound. Because this one, it is smooth, especially if you scoop the mids. You know, it has a smooth characteristic. Also, it's important. The Brunetti sounds good, yes. You know, John Mains, the thing is, in general, I'm quite suspicious of anything that has a chip into it, because the problem of chips is that they keep getting better. So inherently, what you are buying, it's going to get outdated. And so there is that. And I mean, is it already that moment? We have been through some amplifiers. Obviously, every time you should really do some EQ. You should really do some, also tinker a little bit more with mic placement. You know, it took me something like 2 days to find this type of mic placement for this amplifier. And so don't assume anything, you know, don't assume that it is immediately that easy. And now, just for the sake of curiosity, let's try, before switching and unboxing the amplifier and the converter, let's try to put the blanket over it and let's see if it changes. Yes, Bob Almighty, I agree. I agree. That's why many professionals in general use, you know, some type of software emulation, because it's very expensive to bring around. It's very expensive to bring around 40 kilos of amplifier, you know, and it's also an hassle, and it's a lot of money. It can get damaged and so on and so forth. But given, you know, it is one of the beauty of what we do here, that we can get, you know, the amplifier and simply don't move it around. And so yes, let's put the blanket before starting to open the whole thing. Matteo, buonasera, good evening. The second one, not this one, but the Fender concert that we are going to open now. But first, let's see if the blanket made a difference. I should do gear reviews, you know. Lots of people get crazy about those things, but for me, in the end, it's an important part because it's important to have proper gear and gear that, not only proper, but gear that is well maintained, but it's not, you know, it's not the solution to your musical problems. 90% of the time, it is a technique problem of some kind. At least that is my experience. I like it, but it bites a little bit too much on the high frequencies. And a little bit also too much reverb. It is difficult in general, but I've noticed with the ears, I've noticed with the ears that as I keep playing, I try to utilize less and less reverb. And I mean, we tried it. Actually, most probably it is better without the blanket and with a little bit less high. It is better. I don't know why, but it is better. You see, that is the tinkering that I was talking about. Like, for example, the Roland that we had earlier sounded a little bit more focused with the blanket. Instead, this one, it is better without the blanket. And nothing, I guess the big moment has arrived. Yes, it's flatter, and also the blanket cuts, you know, that tiny little bit of mid frequencies that we need in order to get the full spectrum of sound. Obviously, you know, it's difficult for me. I try to get the most out of the amplifier because. This one, it's in general, it doesn't matter which type of music, you are producing or you are trying to put out there, you know, for those of you that are musicians or amateur musicians, hobbyists, etc. You know, when you are trying to understand what sounds best, at least that's what I do, you know, once I've mixed everything, you know, I try to listen to what I did from a phone, and I have an incredibly cheap phone, so it's great, because you must assume that 90% of the people, they are going to listen from a device that it's not a great device, you know, it's it's whatever they could get their hands on, you know. So it's very important to keep in mind that, because, you know, here in the room I hear a certain thing, but I know already that YouTube is compressing what the signal that I'm sending, and so there are lots of variables. So it is that moment, and, you know, please help me, because I don't want to make mistakes, very expensive mistakes. So the first thing that we are going to open, it's this thing that it's a step down, and it's important because it's going to convert the European current to the American volt current, so that we can we can avoid blowing up the amplifier. The problem is that this thing it goes both ways, from what I understood. I didn't read the manual, and so it can be very dangerous. You. Should do it on my lap, most probably. Okay, we have voltage converter, universal instruction manual. Yes, we need this thing. Power cable. I bought a unit that should be more than powerful enough. I've read that also some people go even try to recreate the 117 volt thing that was utilized in the 60s to get the sound of the 60s, utilizing one of these machines, even in the States. It's not a PlayStation 5, it's a step down. Okay. Okay. There is an overload protection switch. There is an in and there is an out, and a USB port, I don't know why, and a power thing. Okay. We needed to figure out how this thing works properly, because I'm afraid that if I get it wrong, then we are going to. It's not a preamplifier. The problem is that European currency, electricity is at 220 volts. USA electricity is at 110 volts, and this is the machine that is going to take the 220 volt electricity, transform it into a 110 volt electricity, so that we can power the amplifier without making the amplifier explode. And so it's quite an important thing, because if I get this thing wrong, the amplifier is going to go boom. Okay? Exactly, JB Cook. Exactly. It is the same thing. Actually, you can bring the amplifier. Damian, welcome. I could bring the amplifier to an audio technician and, make the audio technician do the conversion, but I think it's a bad idea. And anyway, now we take out this one. I will need to read the manual of this thing, because I don't want to. There is an overload protection switch that hopefully helps. I must admit that I'm quite scared to making a disaster out of this thing, especially, you know, and especially after everything, you know, the weight and so on, and okay. Okay, so let's turn off this amplifier, unbox the other amplifier, put the Fender Concert here. It's that moment. Let's take out here and once again, I'm really grateful for the support of each and every one of you. This thing would have not been possible, and actually, you know, if I stop for a second and start to think about, you know, the fact that I've been struggling with questionable gear for years, and finally I'm able to afford, you know, the nice thing. It's, you know, I thought that I would have never been able, you know. So really, thank you. It's a Vevor. It's a Vevor. It's quite a powerful one because, you know, I didn't want to spare money because that is the worst thing that you can do, having an expensive piece of equipment. I think this one is 500 watts. Okay. Okay, they are not saying much, but hopefully we can figure it out. But first, let's take the Brunetti out. So remember, volume down. If there is a standby switch, the standby switch, and then you turn the power off. Okay, and then you take out the cable. So let's go. Also, it's nice to have a decent cable. I have a quite questionable cable, but it is the way that it is. My cats are going to have so much fun to be in this box, you know. They did package it extra careful. Basically, it's a box within a box. No. It's the other way around. Why would you do something like this? Matter. Ah no, it's all right. Okay. And it's black and brown. Okay, the valves are over here, so worst day of my life to have back pain, but we're going to do it anyway. Okay. Piano. What is this? This one. Looks like there is a valve inside of some kind. Sorry for the noises. That's a lot of trash. Okay, one thing at a time. Piano. Okay. So under here. Okay. It is almost a shame that I cannot show it on the stream, you know, because it will be in another room. But it is a beautiful thing. I expected it to be beautiful, but not this beautiful. Azul. Is it really this the moment? Okay. Sorry for the noises. It's the plastic over here. Thank you, Katie. Al. That is exactly the moment. This is the very moment in which we needed to be extra careful. Because, you know, if we mess up the settings in this machine, we can blow it up. And I'm not in the mood to blowing up 2000. Actually, here in Europe, they sell for 3,000 euros amplifiers. So I have two outputs. This one is the power. And this one it says in, and there is a switch that says 220 that if I pull it goes to 110. I'm very afraid of this thing. I'm extremely afraid. I'm really afraid. And okay. Okay, let's think about it. Let's read the manual because we don't want to. We don't want to mess it up. Hi, Kathy. Welcome. Azul, he doesn't like it that much. There is too much of a mess. So let's read it once again. Okay, input. The voltage input range. The thing is, we need to understand what we want. Because, okay, basically, we have this one, okay, and this one, given that we are in Europe, it's the thing that is going to power the converter, right? And given that we are in Europe, it's already over 220. Okay, and we plug this thing in. And here we plug the thing here. We click power, we press overload protection, and we hope that everything does not explode. And hello, Rick. How are you doing? Welcome. Yeah, of course, I believe it. It has 4 speakers, and I believe it when you tell me that it's crazy loud. But also the thing that, I don't know if you can see it, but most probably you can't see it. It looks almost gold, like there is some gold glitter going on. Maybe the camera does not pick it up, but from what I've heard, this one should be the best amplifier that money can buy for jazz. Let's find out. Okay. Ok, io adesso ti accendo, ti do potenza, no, e non ti piace più. Ok, we have a power problem, a second, that we are going to find a solution real quick. You cannot see it over here, but it's full of paper and plastic, so it may take a while, but it's better to be safe, you know, rather than being sorry. Ok, quindi io ti sposto qui. Sorry for the Italian, you know, sometimes I have the tendency to talk to myself. Ok, quindi io ti metto qui, tu comunque hai l'asco, è anche un sistema migliore di quello che avevamo precedentemente. tu sei quella roba lì che non ci serve più. Ok, tu qui hai l'asco, dovresti essere acceso, sì, tu sei acceso, I put the finger when it where it says 117, this one, and I hope that everything does not blow up. Okay? Okay? Then, let's check the volumes. 0. Vibrato, 0. Okay? Yes, everything is to 0. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay? A small prayer. If it blows up, I swear, would never be able to forgive me. Because it is. On. And it does not turn on. Why is it so? Okay. Why, when I turn it on, is it on? Yes. Yes, you are on. And you did not explode. That's already good. Now we turn on also the standby. Okay. Good luck finding the right angle. There are four inputs. There are two channels. The vibrato channel and the normal channel. Now let's hear what's what. We turn this one to 2, this one actually a little bit more, come on, 5 and 5, and this one to 1, and let's see if we have the Back to the Future moment, you know. If you remember the movie. And it does not work. Let's try the other channel. But, you know, the cable was working so far. Here it looks like there is power. Why? Why? It's really nerve-wracking. I mean, I was working this morning. I was working this morning, the whole morning, Jane, in order to make this stream possible. And we are working also here. And still nothing. Still nothing. No, I've changed it. It's not. Here I have one thing that says 1.5 ampere, 177 volts, 60 cycles or ground, and it is over the 1.5 ampere. It's not over ground. It's on. This one is the standby off. Also, I don't think it would be so silent, you know. It's too silent. One thing that I'm wondering about, is that I've received these. Isn't it the case that maybe I needed to install them to make it work? But it's not something that I should do, you know? Yes, also the speaker was, the jack was working properly. You mean the jack behind it? Yes. I mean, it looks fine. The light is red. At least I'm happy that it did not blow up, you know. Yes, these are tubes, but I suspect they are, you know, they were inside the thing. But I imagine that they would arrive already installed. But apparently that's not the case. These are tubes, yes. Yes, Carlos. And these are tubes. Okay, let's put them somewhere so that they are not going to fall, like over here. One tube. So I need to put the tubes in. That's what you're telling me. They are 6L6 GC, and there is also a number, some pins. Okay. We are not lacking anything, eh? So let's turn off the thing and let's see. Let's look at the behind of it. Yes, they are meant to be installed apparently, those two. So let's bring everything back to one and turn the thing off. Stand by, off. I mean, I get it, it's a sensible way to go on about things. They put a little bit of plastic. I'm just looking at them. This one says valve 2. I'm going to put it over here so I understand what it is. Valve 2, it's this one, valve 2. Valve 2, and I needed to put it in. Okay, valve 2, you are off. So I needed to insert you into that thing. Yes, I unplug it so I avoid to die. You're right. Yeah, I'm afraid that there is some type of sense. John, is there a sense in those things? In the sense there is a direction, specific direction? Because it doesn't look like there is. Shall we risk it for the biscuit? I like living dangerously, maybe a little bit too much. Let's try it. Okay. You are valve 2 and that one is valve 2. Okay. Okay, one thing at a time. Let's write to the people. Let's write to the people. Let's write to the people and ask them. Because, you know. So, Nick. Hi, Nick. The amp arrived safely. Do I guess I need to put put in the valves. I have figured out that they are numbered. I'm afraid of brute forcing them in. A second, guys, because I plugged the amp into the 115 thing and it turns on, but obviously without the valves no sound. I'm sorry, I'm quite a noob about valve amplifiers because I was never really able to afford them, you know, and I'm too young to you know, to when I was growing up we had already, you know, plenty of transistors. The cheap amplifiers were transistors. And so yes, actually, you know, behind it, yes, there is exactly the thing, you know, to make it this thing fit. This one is yes, but they are incredibly serious people. Hello, Elise, welcome back. And okay, also I forgot to Karen, that is only, you know, we are just trying to make the amp to work. Then, you know, then there is also all of the mic placement to do and also all of this to do, you know, and I need also to to play, you know. But anyway, thank you so much, Kyle7 Billy, for the $5 super chat. It is much appreciated and it is never taken for granted. And okay. Yes, but I've seen the preamp thing. The thing is that I need to put this thing inside this other thing, you know, behind it. And I'm afraid to force it, basically. Because, you know, it's a lot of money. And if I do it wrong, I'm going to regret it badly. Wiggle gently. Yes. You know, I'm everything. Video editor, amplifier technician, mixing engineer. But I am under the impression that this red thing, wait, let me show you. This red thing doesn't enter, you know. Here it says V2, so second valve. There was also a little sticker that said second valve over here. Then on top of that there is a mystery. Fuse to amp slow blow, that I don't know what that means exactly. Wait. Nick responded. He did, but I hope nothing bad happened. Send me a photo of the valves and the back of the amp and we'll help you get them installed. I avoid turning the amp on without the valves. I already did that. We are live on YouTube with 40 people right now, by the way. Okay. Can I call you? Video call you. So, Nick, as you can see here, there are the two valves sockets. Okay, I'm video calling them. Hi Nick, nice to meet you.
How's it going?
It's fine, it's fine. And wait, let me turn the camera so you can see. So basically, we are over here on YouTube streaming, you know.
Oh, awesome.
And
On YouTube.
and here we have the amplifier, right?
Beautiful, yeah.
Here we have. Sorry, there is quite a mess. Here we have the converter, step down, how you want to call it. And I didn't turn it on, and I plugged it into this blue thing because it says, you know, it should be the correct one, hopefully. And I turned it on because I thought that the valves were already in, but the valves are not in. And if you go under the amplifier, by the way, you know, thank you for going above and beyond for everything, you know, the support and you know, a pleasure. Okay. So, so can I turn the flash on this thing? I have a very cheap phone. As you can see here underneath, you know, there were two plastic things, two tape things. One was version V1, valve 1, and here there was a valve 2, and I'm holding in my hand the valve 2 thing, okay? The amplifier is unplugged, so everything is fine. Now let me put you somewhere that I can hear you. Thank you so much for doing this. So basically, I can squeeze it in, but I don't want to force it because it doesn't go in, you know? Feels like it's stuck somewhat. Wait.
In terms of just putting the V1 tube in? You have to rotate it to get the little tab to line up with the slot. Oh, okay. Yeah, my coworker Matt. So if you rotate it a little bit, you'll get those tabs to line up with it. So you don't need to necessarily force it just like straight in, but you do need to put a little bit of pressure on those tabs so that, and maybe rotate it just a tiny bit so that you can get it to line up.
But you see the thing, you know, you see the thing.
Yes.
And not even the red thing goes in. You know, the red tip, this one, not even the red tip goes in.
It's because of those two tabs. So try putting that in and you'll feel that there's two metal tabs in the tube socket. And you need to basically kind of spread those so that the tube will...
You mean those little, they look like wings, so to speak?
Exactly, yeah, the wings.
Okay. But, okay. I have a future as an audio technician. I'm joking. I'm joking, obviously. I'm terrible at it.
These days we gotta do it all, right?
Yeah. Ah, if I... Yes, it's in.
Yeah?
It's in because I needed to push them, basically. Cioè,
Yeah.
I push the little wings like that, and so I can insert the thing. Okay, I got it. I'm sorry, but you know, I was always so broke that I was, you know, dealing with normal amplifiers. You know, cioè transistor amplifiers, at least for me, you know, over the years. Okay. And, okay, so valve 1 into valve 1 socket and valve 2 in valve 2 socket. Okay. Now I'm going to insert also the second one.
Yeah.
A moment that I needed to take out the tape.
Oh, yeah, Matt does a great job packing those. They're always taped up.
Yeah. No, also it was packed.
Safely.
It was packaged perfectly, guys. I mean, once this is all over, I will send you a 5-star review over Google. You know.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
That's okay.
It's
Here.
great to see a glimpse of your studio. It's a cool setup you got there. The concert looks great in it.
Yes, actually, you know, I'm doing this for my audience because they paid for it, so it is only fair that they hear it. But in the future, I have another room so that I avoid bleed of the amplifier, because I like also a little bit of acoustic sound from the 175 that is over there.
Yeah,
You know.
that's nice. You record a little bit of that with the condenser mic and then 57 on the amp type of thing?
Yeah, actually, ideally, I would like also to utilize, at the moment I have an additional 58 to grab a little bit of the room of the booth in which I'm going to put the thing, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is a little bit harder to reach. You. Where are you? Over there. Sorry, I'm trying to look at it.
That's all good.
We are going to manage. Okay. You are here, but I struggle to push the fuckers up as I...
Try
Yeah, I know, but the problem is that there is
The tabs are tight on this one.
no. The problem is that there is the, how do you call it? This thing that doesn't let me access it that easily over here, because this one was relative. This one it's installed. You can see that it's easy. This one, it's a little bit of a prostitute.
Do you have a screwdriver to take that back panel off?
Yes, yes. Actually, that.
That's easy. It's just a couple screws.
Yes, yes, I see them. Okay, now I'm going to get the screwdriver, and I mean everything else should be fine, right? In the sense that once I install this thing, and this one is already on standby, so you know, and this one, you know, I plug this thing over here, and everything should be fine. Okay, so if you're patient enough, I will call you back once I've installed everything. But I don't know, maybe. But I don't know if it is even needed. But you know, it's better to be safe than sorry. And thank you so much, Nick. I will call back.
Yeah,
I will call back in 5 minutes. Thank you.
that sounds great. Hey, congrats again, Frankie. I will talk to you again soon.
Okay. Thank you. Bye. Ciao.
Ciao.
Yes, the struggle is real. Okay, now let me go and check for a screwdriver. Okay, and we are back with the screwdriver. I mean, it is a tense situation. Okay. One. We put it over here so we don't lose the screws that then we are screwed over here. Yes. Okay. Then we go to the other side. tube. I'm sorry that I'm not reading the chat, but as you can see, I'm busy doing the work. This one is a little bit at an angle. Okay. The last one. Okay. And the panel is off. Okay. Okay. Now we need to insert, and I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to put it politely. But you know, for me it is quite the struggle. It is quite the struggle to work out over those things without swearing. Normally I do, you know, because it is in the nature of working over these things. But given that we are on the stream, we won't. Why? Why do you hate me? Okay. Yes, the amplifier it is unplugged. Welcome, Donald, aka Dodo.
Frankie.
Hello, I just wanted. Hi. Are they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Is it correct, guys?
Looking good. I would get them in a little bit tighter. I can see a gap between the tubes. Yeah, I would push them in snug. You know.
Like this, you mean?
Yep. That was alright. Yeah. Was good.
Like this, sorry. Okay, also the other one. Okay. This one struggles a little bit more, valve 1 struggles a little bit more, but because it's also glass, so okay.
And then that should be V1.
Yes, this one is V1, V2. I followed that thing.
Perfect. And that was in
Okay, then we have, these ones are the other settings. I will try to keep it. Okay. Then, over the amplifier, everything is at 0. Then I have this thing that is a step down. Okay.
Okay. Good.
And I'm going to put it in here, right? And that's basically it. Okay, and the guitar is already plugged. Okay, so let's see. I will test it with you guys at this point. You know, just let's do it. I mean, at this point, I will put you over here. Sorry, I'm going to move it to vertical, so you are together with the rest of the stream. So I plug it in, everything is at 0. Okay. He's on standby, so I turn it on. You are on. Then I obviously now and we have light. We have light.
You don't have a deluxe reverb installed right now, but I've got a pro reverb. Nice choice.
Yes, it works. And nothing, guys. Now I'm going to do the mic placement and everything, and you know, test the stuff. I want to say thank you once again. And maybe in the future, what I was thinking is that, but I needed to see, because in reality lately I'm not utilizing reverb that much, because I'm getting even more and more militant. But maybe to find a reverb tank unit clone of some kind.
Yeah, I've had some really good ones come through our shop before, so
Yes.
I can definitely keep my eyes out for a reverb tank for you. I'd be happy to do that.
And nothing, thank you so much, a pleasure dealing with you. And you know, once the stream is over, I will write the review and everything. And have a beautiful day. Okay, thank you.
You too, Frankie.
Ciao, bye.
It's on the app and excited on hearing some clips. Ciao.
Ciao. Okay, now, someone would say, now it is the moment in which we play. It is not the moment in which we play. It is the moment in which we screw back. It is the moment in which we screw back the back panel, because otherwise, you know, we do it tomorrow. And that was tense, guys. And those guys at the Emerald City Guitar in Seattle are lovely and real professionals. I mean, I'm grateful to them. And also thanks to all of you, you know, for the support. Now I'm going to screw the thing back in. Yes, let's leave them in standby for a while as I do this thing. finish the work after the stream. Now let's hear it. I'm tired. Okay. Now, here you are at 4, that is already match. We put it at 2. We put it at 2 over here and at 2 over here. And bright disengaged. And the standby thing. Where is it? Standby. Okay. Test 1, 2, 3. Okay, we are here. Let's hear it. Yes, it's at 2. So, okay, what do we think? What do we think? It is different. Yes, I needed to mic it properly. I needed to do also to understand it properly, you know, and to understand the answer, to understand what it is substantially different. It is. It has a. Thank you, James. What is the secret? You want to write it? Write it to me privately, John. And by the way, I guess I mean it is beautiful. There is something that is vibrating that I don't know what it is. I hear it. Yes, you hear the power, you hear the smoothness, you know. And I hear it. I should hug it. Actually, you know, I hugged it by bringing it in, and I was barely able to hug it because it's very big, very big, you know, especially with all the packaging. And now let's try. I mean, we did 30. That was really nerve-wracking, you know. We did 30. Let's do 31. And let's try to mic it up a little bit, you know, with a little bit of decency. And I mean, I really like this. It shouldn't be tragic, but okay. Also, you know, it's relatively quiet, considering how powerful it is. Mavka, I just managed to make the thing work. And I mean, I can hear a deepness of character that also the Brunetti does not have. I mean, the Brunetti is a beautiful amplifier, but it doesn't have this deepness of character. At least, you know, we played more or less the same things. I mean, I can hear it. Can you hear it? I mean, I'm here. And yes, let's try to pump it up a little bit. Everything is at 5, and here it's almost at 4. Azul. Yes. I mean, it is bigger. It is bigger. It has more. Azul does not like not being fed when the stream normally ends. Yeah. I mean, I mean, yes, Bigfoot. It is a beautiful amplifier. It is a beautiful amplifier. It is worth, you know, the price. It is really worth it. And keep in mind that I'm not even really Azul. Do we want to go to and meditate about our scenes outside to see how cold it is? Ah, it's beautiful. Finally. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Now, said that, I mean, we could sit here for some hours, you know, trying to understand exactly where to place what and where. But the problem is that, you know, this amplifier is going to be placed into another room. Okay, so I would need to redo the whole thing. Okay, so it doesn't make much sense. And the Fender JC-40 doesn't have a loop, but you can use a true attenuator. I mean, I don't have problems with volume that much, John, here, because also the amplifier is in another room, so it's quite well isolated. And, you know, I don't think I'm going to push it. I feel like now we are at 4 out of 10. I mean, it's very loud here in the room, but, you know, if I put it into another room with 2 doors, it's going to work anyway. Thank you, Al McNeil, and thank you also, Maria, for the super chats earlier, and also Kyle 7 Billy. And Elise, you know, I'm not Galadriel from Lord of the Rings. And nothing, I guess that's all for today. I will make sure that the cats, you know, will try to stay alive, in the sense that they will try not to. And nothing, thank you. Also, you know, before saying goodbye, I want to say thank you, really, to all of you for supporting me, because this thing would have never been possible without you. And really, it has arguably an even better sound compared to what I was. Yes, Jordan, also because I don't like to play on the edge of breakup, because the problem is that from time to time, you know, when I play certain numbers, I actually break up the thing. So, you know, it's normally it is around 6 in most amplifiers, the breakup, 6 or 7. And, you know, yes, thanks also to them. But at this point, come on, we did 30, let's do 31. I'm going to turn the volume here all the way down. Here it's all the way down as well. Now, let's unplug it safely and not in a stupid way. And let's hear also this vibrato thing. I mean, we have it. And you know, the thing is, with this setup, I could also work on some serious. Thank you, Isela. I could work also on some serious solo guitar arrangements. I don't hear that much this. Let's put it. Maybe. I should be able to hear it, this vibrato, but I don't hear it. Yes, it is very crisp because it's over bright, like this. Doesn't work. Well, whatever. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the vibrato, but okay, let's try the second channel and see if it's that. Okay, everything back on. 5, 5, 5, 5, 7, 6, whatever. Okay, let's see if it was the channel. No. I don't know. I guess I will figure it out later. Azul. It's not the moment. Anyway, I guess that's everything for today. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. This video will stay on. And unlike the usual videos, so many things that I should ensure. And I wish you a beautiful day. And thank you so much, everyone. And have a good one. Thank you also to the mods. And I'm sorry if I was not reading that much the chat, but you see what I was doing. Okay? Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good one. Peace.